Good evening. I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Actually,
evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
yeah, good evening. We'll just start in 2 minutes. Let's wait for others. Let's start with a QCA topic. Just explain the topic. Prepare everyone. I hope you guys are preparing the topic.
Good evening, ma'am.
Very good evening.
Ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Kindly prepare the topic.
Ma'am, can you display the today's task? Because I
Yes.
have done my speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry in that case.
No issue, ma'am.
What I'm doing, I'm just gonna send you a task one that you can do.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Give me a second. Will it be fine if I send in the group? I sent you personally. Check it.
Ma'am, as you wish. No problem.
I sent you personally. Check it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
One of you please unmute and answer my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
There is one student in the waiting room and I can't admit because it's not visible. What is this, dude? Deepika. I'm sure, yeah. Okay, who is unmute?
Yes, ma'am.
मेरा ना कुछ तो खराब है. Tina unmute है. Okay, fine. Tina, चलो answer करो. Do you read books?
Yes, I'm really fond of reading the books. I read various kind of books, such as religious books and mostly the comic books. I also try to read the magazines so that I can be easily available with the various kinds of information around what's happening.
Okay. What is the benefit of reading books?
Well, there are many of the benefits of reading the book, such as we can get the various kinds of information, we can enhance our vocabulary, we can develop our skills, and we can enhance our knowledge also.
Okay. What was the last book that you have read?
Last book.
Yeah.
Last book that I have read is The Power of Subconscious Mind. And it gives a positive way towards my life. And I was really influenced by that book.
Okay. Prepared है topic आपका?
I'm prepared.
Book ही है ना?
Yes,
Prepared
ma'am.
है?
1 minute, please.
Okay. Meanwhile, Deepika unmute हो जाइए.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of books are liked by children?
Children like story, fables, and cartoon books. They like most, like based on the superheroes and Panch Tantra kind of books are much liked by the children.
Okay. Do the children like to watch videos or read books? Which is more interesting for children?
According to me, I find children enjoy watching the stories rather than reading books because uh, the moving characters in the TV attracts them more than the reading part of the book. Yes, ma'am, done. What else I can say?
Explain, clear करो, conclude your answer. You do not need to say done. So कल बोला था ना, conclude your answer. So these are the ways to, yeah, जो भी है, these are the reasons. So I feel that conclude your answers.
Okay.
Do you like to read international book?
I'm not fond of reading much, so to be very honest, I haven't read any book apart from the syllabus books. So I don't have any idea regarding the international
Why
book.
बताया आपने?
Because I'm not fond of reading.
But why?
Why? I don't like reading much. That's why.
But just now you said that you like reading books.
No, I said no, I don't like reading books.
How you're supposed to study in foreign countries if you don't like to read books? Will it be possible?
Yes, because I don't like to read extra books apart from the syllabus. Like whatever the books are required for my course, definitely I'm going to read those. But like for extra reading, I don't have a habit of reading, so I prefer to watch videos or lectures on the YouTube rather than the reading.
Okay, fine. You can mute. आपका हो गया prepare?
ये टॉपिक
Ma'am,
बुक
I have
वाला
prepared.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
बुक वाला मैम नहीं हुआ, मैं देखती हूँ इसके बारे में कैसे.
टीना, टीना.
May I start?
Yeah.
Well, I'm quite fond of reading the books. In fact, I love to read all types of books, such as religious books, comics books, and motivation, and mostly the motivational and inspirations books. As you have asked me about a book that influences me a lot, I would like to tell you about the book name, The Power of Subconscious Mind, which I have read last month only, and it has changed my whole life in a positive way. This is a motivational book which is written by a doctor. I don't remember the name, but I would just search about it. My father told me about this book and I decided to read it. Then I just purchased this book from the Amazon store. When I started to read it, I realized the meaning of the conscious and subconscious mind, how they works, and we can read about different stages of the mind in this novel. There are many short real stories which shows that with the help of our subconscious mind, we can achieve anything that we want in our life. One story that attracts me the most in this book is that there's an old man who is suffering from the physical disability, and doctor has told him that he will not be able to walk himself the whole life, but the power of his subconscious mind don't didn't let him to give up. And when the other persons asked him how he is, then he just smiled and replied that he is all right and he walk on his feet very soon. And after 1 month, he stand properly and walks as well. Moreover, in this book, there are so many other stories which told me that there are the major power of the internal mind works for us. This book influences me a lot. I always thought about the negative and positive aspects of anything. I was less confident earlier, but after reading this book, I am more confident to decide what I have to do. And I also have to achieve many of the things in my life, which I can only achieve with the help of the power of subconscious mind. According to my perspective, this book is just a miracle and everyone should read this book.
Fair है. I realized book read करने के बाद you don't actually realize, you came to know, you actually know the reason behind that. ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am.
We can read नहीं, one can read.
Okay, ma'am.
Rest it was fine. आज आपने sentences भी पूरे बोले हैं. Good, कल से better है. Okay. So just try to complete your answers.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Ishita, unmute हो जाइए.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you
Okay,
like to read anything beside your academic book?
Yes, because reading has been a very integral part of my childhood. I am very fond of reading. And also that we got the books in the school as well, which were the novels that were in our academics itself. So I built an interest in reading from there when I was very young, maybe in 6th or 7th class itself.
How we can inculcate the habit of reading among children?
Okay, so if you want to inculcate the habit of reading in children, then you should promote, like you should start with very simple books instead of heavy books. If a child sees a very thick book, they'll lose the interest to read it. So in my opinion, first start with very simple books and not when the child is in 9th or 10th grade. build this habit since grade 3rd or 4th itself, so that they build an interest. Maybe you can suggest mystery fiction to child so that they can build up their vocab as well and learn many things.
All right. Uh, at what kind of places you prefer to read books?
Okay, so I would prefer, I usually read books in my room only. I prefer to read books when I'm alone. I don't want any kind of disturbance because I am an intensive reader, I'll say. I like to finish books within 2 to 3 days.
Why so?
I don't know. I'm just too excited to know what would happen next. And also, I have many suggestions from my friends. So I have a list. So I have to like tick mark the list that yes, I have read this, I have read this. So I like to read. That's why.
Okay, now tell me, what genre of book like you enjoy the most?
Okay, maybe it can be mystery fiction or mostly I enjoy rom-com. My favorite writer, my favorite author for sorry, my favorite author is Ravinder Singh. I got many suggestions when I was very young in sixth or seventh, and till date, he has been my favorite author.
Okay,
Yes.
mute कर लीजिए. Next, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, New question is Neha. Okay. The first question is, what is the quality of a good reader?
Well, firstly, they have to ability to read the whole stories which they start, and secondly, they are no. Secondly, they have patience that they also understand the story, and apart from this, they can also tell the stories of the story to their friends.
If you are allowed to read a book, something which is translated, right? Will you enjoy the same? Like, is it original book or the translated one? Which you think that is better?
Well, according to my perspective, I enjoy the reading when I read in a real language, such as when if I start, suppose if I start any English article and any magazine, then I enjoy the read in English language. Apart from this, if I read any story in a Hindi language, then I read. I really want to read in Hindi. So according to my, I really want so I enjoy the real to read the story in real language rather than the translate to the.
What do you feel more comfortable, reading book on like online, right? Or is it like a printed book, which is more comfortable or
I feel
enjoyable?
more comfortable. I feel more comfortable when I read the stories and any kind of reading through printed books, such as because it is suitable for my eyes, and it is not put the bad effect on my eyes. Apart from this, if we talk about online reading, it also put the bad effect on my eyes and energy.
Fair. You can mute. जिन्होंने ये क्वेश्चंस आंसर दे दिए हैं, क्यू कार्ड प्रिपेयर है आपके?
Yes.
ओके, स्टार्ट. इशिता,
Just
स्टार्ट कीजिए.
yes. Okay, so as I talked about this earlier as well, that I am very fond of reading. It has been a very important part of my childhood and has helped me to improve my vocabulary a lot. So I'm more into fictional genre, and I prefer mystery fiction and rom-com. So today, the one book that had a major influence on me is a story written by Chetan Bhagat, Three Mistakes of My Life. This novel follows the story of three friends, and it is based in the city of Ahmedabad. The friends' names are Govind, Ishan, and Omi. So basically, Govind wants to build a life in Ahmedabad itself, which is very respectable, and he wants to start a business. On the other hand, Ishan has a love for cricket. Like, he has a love for cricket, and both of them do not have much of the financial support. So their friend Omi and his family help them to start a business, and that too is to sell cricket goods. So the story revolves around the hardships and the complications that they come across in their business, and also it tells about many situations wherein they had to give a test of their friendship. So from this story, I have learned that no matter what, if you have good friends, they will always stand by your side, and they will always give you, uh, they will always try to give you the best advice and always think good for you. And if I talk about who recommended me, so it was recommended by a friend itself. And also, when I read this book at that time, Chetan Bhagat was a craze in our school library. So it was recommended by teachers and friends as well. Thank you.
Okay, fair. Nice. Can you explain the last point, how this book influenced you? The one
Okay, so
written-
this, yes. So this book influenced me, like, it taught me the lesson that friendship, like, you need to trust your friends, or just find friends who are always there to support you and who can give you good advice. People make friends, but there are two types of friends. One are who push you on the wrong path, and some are who give you the right knowledge, who want the best for you. So that's how it has influenced me, because being from an Indian family, my mother always used to say that no, you don't have to follow your friends. Friends will not stay forever. So that's how this book has influenced me, because I have seen, like, I have suffered from major losses in my life, and that's when I got to know that yes, my friends are always there for me.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Good. Nice content. Good one. The story was fine. What we can talk about, like, it was all good, yeah. You just need to focus on writing, that's all.
Okay.
Rest I find nice.
Okay.
Who will be the next?
Ma'am, may I?
Jasmine, introductory questions दे दिया आपने? Intro या follow up?
No, ma'am.
जिनके follow up दे दिए पहले उनके कर लेने दो. दीपिका, आपका रह गया? दीपिका,
Yes, ma'am.
start.
Uh, the book that has a major influence on me is Wings of Fire, that is written by uh, uh, late Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was the former president of India. He is also known as Missile Man of India. And the book Wings of Fire, it is an autobiography of Mr. Kalam, and it is written by APJ Abdul Kalam and Arun Tiwari.
Okay.
The book is about the journey of our president APJ Abdul Kalam. It it depicts his journey throughout the life, his childhood efforts, how he worked very hard, and then later he became a nuclear scientist in ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Organization, and he was the first man who uh, developed nuclear missile for India. What else? What are the questions?
हो गया?
The book was recommended to me by my teacher, and this book influenced me in the way that it's a great motivational book. It motivates me towards the hard work, never lose hope in the life.
Okay, fine. Deepika, कितने convinced थे while you were speaking on the topic?
Me,
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
नहीं मैम मैं satisfied नहीं हूँ.
हाँ, जैसे कि आप खुद भी ऐसे लग रहा था ना, आधे आधे मन से अपन ट्राई कर
हाँ
कई बार, तो ऐसा लग रहा था लाइक यू आर साउंडिंग इन अ वे नॉट कॉन्फिडेंट वन. ऑल्दो आपका कंटेंट ठीक था, सही बोला था, बट इतने पॉजेस, इतने लाइक रिकॉल कर रहे थे आप जैसे कि कुछ पढ़ा है.
हाँ,
उसको
क्योंकि मैंने मैं आपको बताया मैं बुक्स वगैरह की रीडिंग हैबिट नहीं है, तो इसलिए मैंने अभी गूगल किया इस बुक के बारे में, क्योंकि यही बुक
हाँ,
एक बार स्ट्राइक किया मुझे, तो
तो
अभी मैंने
वही मैं,
फटाफट साइड बाय साइड मैंने पढ़ा कि मैंने क्या पढ़ा इतनी जल्दी.
it was quite evident, right? And in exam you
Yes.
don't get such evidentity. तो
Yes.
करना क्या है, अगर आपने नहीं भी पढ़ा था ना, तो you could have just make up. Like कई हम movies देखते हैं ना, जैसे MS धोनी, right? That was based on a book, the book, right? कुछ भी, सचिन द मिलियन डॉलर्स ड्रीम्स, इवन भाग मिल्खा भाग, दैट वाज आल्सो. तो कोई भी आप मूवीज भी आप बता सकते हो बुक पे बेस्ड है, उसको आप बता सकते हो एज अ बुक. इवन हम अपने घर में लाइक अकॉर्डिंग टू द रिलीजन अगर मैं चलूँ तो रिलीजियस बुक्स आल्सो आर अ बुक, राइट? और वो उससे ज्यादा तो हमें कुछ इन्फ्लुएंस कर ही
Yes,
नहीं
ma'am.
सकता,
Yes.
right? You can
Yes.
talk about Ramayana, the Gita
And
itself is a
Gita,
book,
yes.
right? So
Yes,
there
ma'am.
is no need that you immediately search. थोड़ा सा scratch करो brain को और everything is there, right? तो थोड़े कॉन्फिडेंस होके बोला करो. बस ये पार्ट मिसिंग था, खुद ही कन्विंस नहीं थे, तो तुम मुझे क्या ही कन्विंस करोगे. तो इट वाज लाइक अ मिसिंग वन.
Okay.
ओके, नेक्स्ट कौन है जी जिसकी इंट्रोडक्शन या फॉलो अप हो गई है और क्यू कार्ड रहता है? एनीवन?
मैम मेरा रहता है.
हाँ जी, नहीं, हाँ, चलो जल्दी से करो, टास्क करना है हमें.
So from my childhood and school days, I read a lot of books which is related to my academic. So today I would like to talk about a particular book which influenced me a lot. So the book is related to home remedies, because we all witnessed that because of the COVID-19, we uh, we witness that those person who has a strong immunity system, they can easily survive in these days. And uh, uh, and one it happened 2 weeks before I went to one of my family doctor's clinic, and at that time I suddenly one of the book immediately took my attention, and I took that book, which name is the prevention sorry which name is the golden home remedies for common health issues, in which I can gain the lot of knowledge that how we can enhance our nutrition and how we can use our kitchen herbs for taking the heal and home ailments. So according to my perspective, it is not story, it is related to the books who influenced me. And it's not recommended by anyone, because I earlier mentioned that it happened suddenly. And why I think so I think the reason I think this book influenced me, because one of my sister she is a social worker, and she during the pandemic she helped to the needy persons so that they can easily survive from the COVID-19. And I suggested the same remedies to her so that she can also aware to other people.
ऑलराइट, ग्रेट, गुड वन. आपकी राइटिंग में ही प्रॉब्लम है, नथिंग मच. सो यू स्पोक रियली वेल. आई होप आप थोड़े से वोकैबुलरी इनकलकेट करो, नॉट ओनली यू बट रेस्ट ऑफ यू. हम जब कहते हैं तो आई एम प्रीटी पैशनेट अबाउट रीडिंग, राइट?
Yes,
इट्स
ma'am.
द बुक दैट इनलाइटन मी, राइट? इनलाइटन इज अगेन आपको ज्ञान देता है, डीप इनसाइट. अवेट का मतलब भी वही होता है, बहुत ही अलर्ट, राइट? नॉट अ बुक वॉर्म, आई एम नॉट अ बुक वॉर्म अगेन जो सारा दिन किताब पढ़ता है, बट हाँ ओकेजनली मैं पढ़ता हूँ. And there are a lot more like influence hua, so it has a major impact on my life, right? And there was a sea change, बहुत बड़ा बदलाव होता है, तो we can just say that too, right? And after that कुछ भी क्या changes आए आपकी life में, so you can talk about that too. Like I feel more motivated, more positive. So just try to inculcate कुछ तो
Yes,
दो
ma'am.
तीन words तो अच्छे आप डाल ही दिया करो, ठीक है?
Sure, ma'am. Yes.
Grammatical part was sound, no problem in that. Content part was fine. Everything was fine, just the lexical resources need to be improved. ठीक है? Okay, anyone else जिनका intro हो गया है और follow up रहता है? I'm sorry, intro हो गया है और क्यों कर रहता है? I just anyone? चलो, तो हम I guess दीपिका की हो गई, इशिता की हो गई स्पीकिंग, गुरप्रताप ने देना नहीं है, 3, नेहा 4 और टीना 5, इन 5 लोगों की हो गई. 3 लोग रहते हैं, तो विल जस्ट हम एक बार टास्क का चेक कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि आज हमें लिसनिंग भी करनी है, तो वी वोंट बी लाइक 8:30 हो गया. फटाफट टास्क देख लेते हैं, बहुत इजी टास्क है, जल्दी से आओ इधर सभी जने, स्क्रीन पे नजर डालो. लाइक नथिंग कुड बी इजियर देन दिस. हैव अ लुक. इजी है?
Yes, ma'am.
चलो फटाफट मुझे बताओ.
Ma'am, firstly, cause है कि competition, academic
ओके,
competition.
एकेडमिक कंपटीशन, प्रेशर ऑफ करिकुलम,
Team pressure as well, ma'am.
सॉरी,
Team pressure.
टीम प्रेशर,
Like the pressure
पीयर
from
पीयर प्रेशर,
peer pressure.
पीयर,
Yes, peer
हाँ
pressure.
टीम प्रेशर नहीं, पीयर प्रेशर, ठीक है? आगे और
Parents expectations.
एक्सपेक्टेशंस ऑफ पेरेंट्स, यस मेजर कॉज है स्ट्रेस का. और
Inculcation in bad habits.
More exposure to mobile phones, like nowadays.
हाँ,
There are
मोबाइल
lots
कैसे
of
कर रहा है, जब तक आप वो पीयर वाले में ही होगा, जब तक आप पीयर इन्फ्लुएंस को नहीं लोगे सीरियसली, ये नहीं होगा.
काफी कंटेंट मैम आजकल ऐसा आता है कि वायलेंट कंटेंट जो है यूट्यूब पे, जैसे ये आजकल कौन सा गेम मेरा बेटा
हाँ,
खेल रहा है.
वायलेंट वाला जो है, अब उससे स्ट्रेस कैसे होता है, ये बताओ मुझे.
काफी एग्रेसिव हो जाते हैं मैम बच्चे ये सब देखते देखते.
बट अग्रेसिव से उसका सोशल मतलब एंग्जाइटी या स्ट्रेस से क्या लेना देना है? राइट, तो वो थोड़ा है नहीं. हम फैमिली सपोर्ट का कर सकते हैं कि लैक ऑफ फैमिली सपोर्ट है, कि पेरेंट्स बहुत बिजी होते हैं, बच्चों के साथ क्वालिटी टाइम नहीं करते हैं स्पेंड, और इससे क्या होता है कि बच्चे प्रेशराइज्ड फील करते हैं, अपना प्रॉब्लम किसी से सॉल्व शेयर नहीं कर सकते हैं.
न्यूक्लियर फैमिलीज,
न्यूक्लियर your family? हाँ वही parental supports का
Distraction.
Distraction from what?
It can be maybe because of peer pressure or through phone or internet.
चलो ठीक है, आप लोगों ने स्कूल ये सोशल प्रेशर के बारे में बताओ क्या हो सकता है. एकेडमिक प्रेशर तो बहुत हो गया, सोशल एंड कमर्शियल प्रेशर बताओ.
Child abuse.
Child abuse is the major problem.
So children are seeing that many young people or who are very young in age are excelling in life. Maybe they see this on social media and they also try to be like them. They compare their lives. Maybe that is one of the reason of peer pressure. I'm sorry, pressure for like social pressure.
सोशल प्रेशर्स में हम यही क्राइम बता सकते हैं चिल्ड्रन के लिए जो हो रहे हैं, उसमें चाइल्ड ट्रैफिकिंग, अबडक्शन हो सकता है, मोलेस्टेशन, द वन यू सेड दैट, दीज प्रॉब्लम. नेक्स्ट जो है आपका कमर्शियल फ्रंट्स पे क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकते हैं बच्चों के लिए. एंड कमर्शियल यहाँ पे एडवर्टीजमेंट्स हो सकती हैं, कमर्शियल उनकी फाइनेंशियल्स हो सकती हैं. ठीक है. दैट्स विल बी इजी. अब एक बार हम सॉल्यूशन क्या दे सकते हैं इसका.
Children should spend more time with their family members.
सॉरी.
Ma'am, children should spend more time with their family members and share a good bond with them.
Okay.
Enrolling them in various physical activities based on their interest. Like if a child is interested in dancing, singing, so enrolling them in such academies.
Okay.
Like
Children should not be judged on the base of the examination.
Ma'am,
parents should try to understand the interest of the child and should boost his interest, his field of interest. And
ma'am, I have a point. Can I write this? That parents have the religious expectations from their child, so the child compete with that and rebels against the rules.
Okay. Religious expectation?
Yes, ma'am, they forces the children to just work according to them, just that they should follow the tradition and religions.
No, I don't feel that's a point.
Okay, ma'am.
Government could just like set a particular policy so that the school can work on the set policy and the set curriculum with limited syllabus.
by including various in the curriculum, activity based learning should be there. Like children should enjoy the learning.
ओके, सो
by
दैट इज
doing
फॉर द,
various
अगर
activities.
देखो एकेडमिक प्रेशर की जो बात करी हमने, तो हम सबसे पहले तो सोल्यूशन देंगे कि जो सिलेबस है वो कम होना चाहिए, राइट? तभी वो बच्चे स्ट्रेस कर रहे हैं। एग्जाम्स को लेके स्ट्रेस होता है, तो एग्जाम्स की जगह आपका कंटिन्यूअस असेसमेंट होना चाहिए रादर देन पुटिंग अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेस फॉर द एग्जाम्स। ग्रेडिंग सिस्टम होना चाहिए रादर देन गिविंग द परसेंटेजेस एंड मार्क्स, इट शुड बी ए बी, जिससे कि आपका जो पॉइंट पॉइंट के लिए जो कंपटीशन होता है वो खत्म हो जाए। पेरेंट्स को भी बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशराइज नहीं करना चाहिए चाइल्ड को। एवरी चाइल्ड इज डिफरेंट, राइट? सो दे नीड टू बी सपोर्टिव विद देयर चिल्ड्रन। एट द सेम टाइम दे शुड स्पेंड क्वालिटी टाइम, जो हमने बात करा था कि दे डोंट हैव एनीवन टू शेयर द स्टफ, so they should spend time with them, they should guide them, and always share the things with them, like what's happening in their life, so that the child will feel friendly, and whatever the point is there, he or she can discuss, so that would be the solution. अब अगर हम सोशल फ्रंट पे क्राइम की बात कर रहे हैं, तो उसके लिए हम ऑब्वियसली लॉ चेंजेस कर सकते हैं या सीवियर पनिशमेंट्स बना सकते हैं अगेंस्ट सच केसेस। और तो अब नाउ लेट्स हैव अ सैंपल आंसर्स पे एक बार नजर डालते हैं। Done with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Guru Pratap.
Sorry, ma'am. I have just joined again the class. Can I describe my points?
Sure.
Uh, Ma'am, my first reason is that the parents have lots of expectation from their children from related to study, and second one is low. There is a lots of struggle for career, better career. So I think that is the two major points for more pressure on children's, and also there is a two remedies for it. First of all, provide a sufficient environment because children don't force to choose any stream with. Uh, oh, sorry, ma'am. Children's free for choose their future dream field, and the second one is government should be secure the future of children.
ठीक है, फर्स्ट स्लाइड
Yes,
चेंज रीड कर लिया सबने?
ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
it is okay or not?
Yeah, it is okay, it is completely fine, Guru Pratap.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Solutions. Okay, let's go for the second one. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a quite easy essay, so I don't think we should like take it. Words जो है वो आप कर सकते हो simultaneously, alleviate. So जो भी इसमें words की meaning नहीं आ रहे, you can just ask me. Okay, shall we start listening? अगर ये हो गया तो
Yes, ma'am.
वॉल्यूम चेक करेंगे.
This recording is copyright. Test
Audible है?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now everyone mute yourself.
2. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to part 1. Part 1. You will hear a woman calling a tourist information office to ask about a festival. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning. You're through to the Tourist Information Office. Tim speaking. How can I help you?
Oh, hello. Could you give me some information about next month's festival, please? My family and I will be staying in the town that week.
Of course. Well, it starts with a concert on the afternoon of the 17th.
Oh, I heard about that. The orchestra and singers come from the USA, don't they?
They're from Canada. They're very popular over there. They're going to perform a number of well-known pieces that will appeal to children as well as adults.
That sounds good. My whole family are interested in music.
The next day, the 18th, there's a performance by a ballet company called Eustatis.
Sorry?
The name is spelled Eustatis. They appeared in last year's festival and went down very well. Again, their program is designed for all ages.
Good. I expect we'll go to that. I hope there's going to be a play during the festival. A comedy, ideally.
You're in luck. On the 19th and 20th, a local amateur group are performing one written by a member of the group. It's called Jemima. That'll be on in the town hall. They've already performed it 2 or 3 times. I haven't seen it myself, but the review in the local paper was very good.
And is it suitable for children?
Yes. In fact, it's aimed more at children than at adults. So both performances are in the afternoon.
And what about dance? Will there be any performances?
Yes, also on the 20th, but in the evening. A professional company is putting on a show of modern pieces with electronic music by young composers.
Uh-huh.
The show is about how people communicate, or fail to communicate with each other, so it's got the rather strange name, Chat.
I suppose that's because that's something we do both face-to-face and online.
That's right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Now, there are also some workshops and other activities. They'll all take place at least once every day, so everyone who wants to take part will have a chance.
Good. We're particularly interested in cookery. You don't happen to have a cookery workshop, do you?
We certainly do. It's going to focus on how to make food part of a healthy lifestyle. And it'll show that even sweet things like cakes can contain much less sugar than they usually do.
That might be worth going to. We're trying to encourage our children to cook.
Another workshop is just for children, and that's on creating posters to reflect the history of the town. The aim is to make children aware of how both the town and people's lives have changed over the centuries. The results will be exhibited in the community centre. Then, the other workshop is in toy making, and that's for adults only.
Oh, why's that?
Because it involves carpentry. Participants will be making toys out of wood, so there'll be a lot of sharp chisels and other tools around.
It makes sense to keep children away from it.
Exactly. Now, let me tell you about some of the outdoor activities. There'll be supervised wild swimming.
Wild swimming? What's that?
It just means swimming in natural waters, rather than a swimming pool.
Oh, okay. In a lake, for instance.
Yes, there's a beautiful one just outside the town, and that'll be the venue for the swimming. There'll be lifeguards on duty, so it's suitable for all ages. And finally, there'll be a walk in some nearby woods every day. The leader is an expert on insects. He'll show some that live in the woods and how important they are for the environment. So there are going to be all sorts of different things to do during the festival.
There certainly are.
If you'd like to read about how the preparations for the festival are going, the festival organizer is keeping a blog. Just search online for the festival website, and you'll find it.
Well, thank you very much for all the information.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear part of a talk to a gardening club about a local park. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
I'm very pleased to welcome this evening's guest speaker, Mark Logan, who's going to tell us about the recent transformation of Minster Park. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you. I'm sure you're all familiar with Minster Park. It's been a feature of the city for well over a century and has been the responsibility of the City Council for most of that time. What perhaps isn't so well known is the origin of the park. Unlike many public parks that started in private ownership, as the garden of a large house, for instance, Minster was some wasteland, which people living nearby started planting with flowers in 1892. It was unclear who actually owned the land, and this wasn't settled until 20 years later, when the council took possession of it. You may have noticed the statue near one of the entrances. It's of Diane Gosforth, who played a key role in the history of the park. Once the council had become the legal owner, it planned to sell the land for housing. Many local people wanted it to remain a place that everyone could go to enjoy the fresh air and natural environment. Remember, the park is in a densely populated residential area. Diane Gosforth was one of those people, and she organised petitions and demonstrations, which eventually made the council change its mind about the future of the land. Soon after this, the First World War broke out in 1914, and most of the park was dug up and planted with vegetables, which were sold locally. At one stage, the army considered taking it over for troop exercises and got as far as contacting the city council, then decided the park was too small to be of use. There were occasional public meetings during the war in an area that had been retained as grass. After the war, the park was turned back more or less to how it had been before 1914 and continued almost unchanged until recently. Plans for transforming it were drawn up at various times, most recently in 2013, though they were revised in 2015 before any work had started. The changes finally got going in 2016 and were finished on schedule last year.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Okay, let me tell you about some of the changes that have been made and some things that have been retained. If you look at this map, you'll see the familiar outline of the park, with the river forming the northern boundary, and a gate in each of the other three walls. The statue of Diane Gosforth has been moved. It used to be close to the south gate, but it's now immediately to the north of the lily pond, almost in the centre of the park, which makes it much more visible. There's a new area of wooden sculptures, which are on the riverbank, where the path from the east gate makes a sharp bend. There are two areas that are particularly intended for children. The playground has been enlarged and improved, and that's between the river and the path that leads from the pond to the river. Then there's a new maze, a circular series of paths separated by low hedges. That's near the west gate. You go north from there towards the river and then turn left to reach it. There have been tennis courts in the park for many years, and they've been doubled, from 4 to 8. They're still in the southwest corner of the park, where there's a right-angle bend in the path. Something else I'd like to mention is the new fitness area. This is right next to the lily pond on the same side as the west gate. Now, as you're all gardeners, I'm sure you'll like to hear about the plants that have been chosen for the park.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2. Part 3. You will hear 2 students of English called Kathy and Graham planning a display on 19th century British life and literature for a university event. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
OK, Graham, so let's check we both know what we're supposed to be doing.
OK.
So, for the university's open day, we have to plan a display on British life and literature in the mid-19th century.
That's right. But we'll have some people to help us find the materials and set it up, remember? For the moment, we just need to plan it.
Good. So, have you gathered who's expected to come and see the display? Is it for the people studying English or students from other departments? I'm not clear about it.
Nor me. That was how it used to be, but it didn't attract many people, so this year it's going to be part of an open day to raise the university's profile. It'll be publicised in the city to encourage people to come and find out something of what goes on here. And it's included in the information that's sent to people who are considering applying to study here next year.
Presumably, some current students and lecturers will come?
I would imagine so. But we've been told to concentrate on the other categories of people.
Right. We don't have to cover the whole range of 19th century literature, do we?
No, it's entirely up to us. I suggest just using Charles Dickens.
That's a good idea. Most people have heard of him and have probably read some of his novels or seen films based on them. So that's a good lead-in to life in his time.
Exactly. And his novels show the awful conditions that most people had to live in, don't they? He wanted to shock people into doing something about it.
Did he do any campaigning other than writing?
Yes, he campaigned for education and other social reforms and gave talks. But I'm inclined to ignore that and focus on the novels.
Yes, I agree.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
OK, so now shall we think about a topic linked to each novel?
Yes, I've printed out a list of Dickens's novels in the order they were published, in the hope you'd agree to focus on him.
You're lucky I did agree. Let's have a look. Okay, the first was the Pickwick Papers, published in 1836. It was very successful when it came out, wasn't it? And was adapted for the theatre straight away.
There's an interesting point, though, that there's a character who keeps falling asleep, and that medical condition was named after the book, Pickwickian syndrome.
Oh, so why don't we use that as the topic and include some quotations from the novel?
Right. Next is Oliver Twist. There's a lot in the novel about poverty, but maybe something less obvious.
Well, Oliver is taught how to steal, isn't he? We could use that to illustrate the fact that very few children went to school, particularly not poor children, so they learnt in other ways.
Good idea. What's next?
Maybe Nicholas Nickleby? Actually, he taught in a really cruel school, didn't he?
That's right. But there's also the company of touring actors that Nicholas joins. We could do something on theatres and other amusements of the time. We don't want only the bad things, do we?
OK.
What about Martin Chuzzlewit? He goes to the USA, doesn't he?
Yes. And Dickens himself had been there a year before and drew on his experience there in the novel.
I wonder, though, the main theme is selfishness. So we could do something on social justice? No, too general. Let's keep to your idea. I think it would work well.
He wrote Bleak House next. That's my favourite of his novels.
Yes, mine too.
Oh.
His satire of the legal system is pretty powerful.
That's true. But think about Esther, the heroine. As a child, she lives with someone she doesn't know is her aunt, who treats her very badly. Then she's very happy living with her guardian, and he puts her in charge of the household. And at the end, she gets married, and her guardian gives her and her husband a house, where, of course, they're very happy.
Yes, I like that.
What shall we take next? Little Dorrit? Old Mr. Dorrit has been in a debtor's prison for years.
So was Dickens's father, wasn't he?
That's right.
What about focusing on the part when Mr. Dorrit inherits a fortune and he starts pretending he's always been rich?
Good idea.
Okay. So next we need to think about what materials we want to illustrate each issue. That's going to be quite hard.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear part of a presentation about an agricultural program in the country of Mozambique. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
I'm going to report on a case study of a program which has been set up to help rural populations in Mozambique, a largely agricultural country in Southeast Africa. The program worked with 3 communities in Chikwalakwala district, near the Limpopo River. This is a dry and arid region with unpredictable rainfall. Because of this, people in the area were unable to support themselves through agriculture, and instead they used the forest as a means of providing themselves with an income, mainly by selling charcoal. However, this was not a sustainable way of living in the long term, as they were rapidly using up this resource. To support agriculture in this dry region, the programme focused primarily on making use of existing water resources from the Limpopo River by setting up systems of irrigation, which would provide a dependable water supply for crops and animals. The programme worked closely with the district government in order to find the best way of implementing this. The region already had one farmers' association, and it was decided to set up 2 more of these. These associations planned and carried out activities including water management, livestock breeding and agriculture. And it was notable that in general, women formed the majority of the workforce. It was decided that in order to keep the crops safe from animals, both wild and domestic, special areas should be fenced off where the crops could be grown. The community was responsible for creating these fences, but the programme provided the necessary wire for making them. Once the area had been fenced off, it could be cultivated. The land was dug so that vegetables and cereals appropriate to the climate could be grown, and the programme provided the necessary seeds for this. The programme also provided pumps so that water could be brought from the river in pipes to the fields. However, the labour was all provided by local people, and they also provided and put up the posts that supported the fences around the fields. Once the programme had been set up, its development was monitored carefully. The farmers were able to grow enough produce not just for their own needs, but also to sell. However, getting the produce to places where it could be marketed was sometimes a problem, as the farmers did not have access to transport, and this resulted in large amounts of produce, especially vegetables, being spoiled. This problem was discussed with the farmers' associations, and it was decided that in order to prevent food from being spoiled, the farmers needed to learn techniques for its preservation. There was also an additional initiative that had not been originally planned, but which became a central feature of the programme. This was when farmers started to dig holes for tanks in the fenced-off areas and to fill these with water and use them for breeding fish, an important source of protein. After a time, another suggestion was made by local people which hadn't been part of the programme's original proposal, but which was also adopted later on. They decided to try setting up colonies of bees, which would provide honey both for their own consumption and to sell. So, what lessons can be learned from this programme? First of all, it tells us that in dry, arid regions, If there is access to a reliable source of water, there is great potential for the development of agriculture. In Chikwalakwala, there was a marked improvement in agricultural production, which improved food security and benefited local people by providing them with both food and income. However, it's important to set realistic timelines for each phase of the program, especially for its design, as mistakes made at this stage may be hard to correct later on. The program demonstrates that sustainable development is possible in areas where there is
Ma'am, 39th and 14th answer missing.
Sorry, good Pratap, दोबारा बोलिए. 39 आंसर विजिबल नहीं है, राइट?
Are missing.
दिख रहा है?
No, ma'am. Last. Yes.
देखिए ठीक से.
Done, ma'am.
मैम जैसे मैंने 9th का आंसर सिर्फ इंसेक्ट लिखा तो और आंसर इंसेक्ट्स है प्लूरल फॉर्म में, तो रॉन्ग हो जाएगा.
So that will be wrong.
और ये 13 का मेरा जो है 11 और 12 का ऑर्डर ऑपोजिट हो गया मेरा.
वो गलत होगा, फिर वो गलत है.
सिर्फ 21 और 22 23 इनका ऑर्डर मैटर नहीं करता ना?
नहीं, यहाँ पे मैटर नहीं करता. Is it checked?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fair. Rest can continue with the writing part. And those who are left with the speaking, who is that? Unmute हो जाइए जल्दी से. Okay, who is it? Harjinder 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Topic prepare है?
Yes, ma'am.
Start कीजिए बोलना.
Okay, ma'am. Whenever I get time to try to read books, this is my hobby. I am quite fond of reading books. Uh, my favorite books are religions, comic genre. A room without book is like without a room without book. Books is like a body without a soul. Who have to read the books? I do. I do work, so I don't have enough time to read the books. Books are very useful source to knowledge. Reading books is a good way to spend free time. People are open-minded by reading books. To be honest, I read the mostly books related to my profession. I have obtained lots of knowledge related to my study. According to my need, I read the books. Books are recommended by my friends. If I got the chance to read other books, I will definitely read the good books. Ma'am,
Okay, starting part was fine. बीच में आप कंफ्यूज हो गए थे, बुक विदाउट रूम पता नहीं क्या कहना चाहते थे, तो दैट वाज नॉट
Yes, ma'am.
क्लियर. फिर आपने बीच में थोड़ा ठीक बोला, लास्ट में आपने बस ऐसे खत्म कर दिया, आपने उसको कुछ भी इलैबोरेट नहीं किया. आई रीड बुक, आई रिकमेंड माय फ्रेंड एंड आई लव बुक. इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं एक्सप्लेन करा, रिकमेंडेशंस वाला पॉइंट एक्सप्लेन नहीं करा.
यस मैम, ये ना मुझे मतलब जैसे जैसे मेरे माइंड में जो आइडिया है मैंने वही लिखे हैं, बट मैं आगे से ट्राई करूंगी कि और एक्सप्लेन करूं.
सारे पॉइंट्स लिखो.
हाँ,
ऐसा नहीं है कि आइडियाज जो आ रहे हैं आपके माइंड का आइडिया नहीं, जो क्वेश्चन में पूछा है वो आइडियाज आपने डेवलप करने हैं.
ओके मैम, ठीक है मैम.
ये जिस सीक्वेंस में पूछा है वो सीक्वेंस में आंसर
ठीक है.
कीजिए. हु इज योर फेवरेट राइटर?
फेवरेट राइटर मैम, मैं
वन सेकेंड, लेट मी, एक सेकेंड रुक
सॉरी टू
जाइए.
सी मैम.
हाँ जी हरजिंदर बताइए, हु इज योर फेवरेट राइटर?
मैम मैंने कोई ऐसी बुक रीड करी नहीं है.
आप कुछ भी XYZ बता दो, जस्ट एक्सप्लेन इन इंग्लिश द सेम थिंग.
माय
आई डोंट
फेवरेट
नो.
राइटर इज अब्दुल कलाम, मिस्टर अब्दुल कलाम जी.
Okay, reasons? Yeah, Guru Pratap, you can leave. No problem.
Because when I saw the videos of Abdul Kalam in YouTube, there are so many positive thought in his books. That's why I like to way of he.
Okay,
That's why I like the book.
I like reading his books. Okay, mute हो जाइए. हाँ जी, next कौन है? Those who are done with the speaking will leave the meeting and continue with the writing part, and those who are left will stay here. Jasmine, unmute हो जाइए. Good night. हाँ, Jasmine.
Yes, ma'am.
Topic बोलिए.
Okay, ma'am. I would like to talk about my favorite writer, which name is K.S. Kaushal. They published their book, The Rainbow. It's a textual book which are made for the PSB schools. This story all done with about their title. Their title is a Hassan's attendance problem, which are maintained with their own discipline and ability, which are given by their parents as well as their teachers. They are not able to join the class regularly, and but they stood the first in the class in their exams. It's very interesting topic for me because it's all done with the motivational and lots of desirements which we gave them. But when we are irregular to going to schools, we are not able to contact with our friends and teachers. We have no an ability to stay everywhere to talk anyone. So it's a major issue when we have not a discipline in other places and in other manuals. So this book has changed my all way of my thinking and gave me a best dissertations. My ideal sister recommended me to read such a creative and motivation book for me. I shall be very thankful for my sister. It's a had different skills for me, which are mainly given by these chapters and which are given by this story. So the most important point is influenced for this from this book is make the person disciplined and take a best step.
Alright, fine, fine. Jasmine, ये लिखा है कहीं पे आपने स्टोरी की तरह?
मैम जस्ट मेन पॉइंट्स लिखे हैं मैम.
ठीक है, ग्रामर पे क्यों नहीं फोकस कर रहे हो जैस्मीन? Which name, its name होगा, they are written, we are और कई sentences तो कुछ सेंस ही नहीं बनाते हैं. आप खुद एक बार जब लिखोगे ना या जब बोलते हो तो आप सुन के देखा करो. Best पता नहीं क्या था, that was we have not discipline. So there are lot of sentences that doesn't make any sense. Last का part बोल के देखो जरा, who recommended it to you?
My ideal sister recommended me to read such a creative and motivational book for me.
Last की line एक आ गई. Such a creative, उसके आगे कुछ नहीं सुना.
Such a creative motivational book for me. I shall be very thankful for my sister, elder sister, ma'am.
Sister बता दिया, ठीक है. Elder sister फिर बताया. तो अब मुझे कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आप चीजें खत्म नहीं करते. You do not finish a sentence and you start another one, right? Clarity लाओ sentences में और grammar पे please focus करो. We have not display, we have every, we are irregular. So ये are unnecessarily आप use करते हो helping verbs. इसको ठीक करो. Questions
Okay,
answer करो अब.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the quality of a good writer?
They stands a very good position our.
फिर से आप they stand a very good position. इसका मतलब क्या होगा? Audible नहीं हो आप if you're speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the quality of a good writer?
Okay, ma'am. Writer is that person which gave a skillful.
Which नहीं who. Person के साथ who.
Who gave a skillful and motivational stories in our life, which are reality. Uh, they all desire their stories by the real life. That's one.
Okay. Now tell me, who is your favorite writer?
Miss Dr. K.S. Kaushal and Mrs. Meena is my favorite favorite author for me because they are the biggest one, famous one in the world, which they are also renamed in the World Book Record. So they are
renowned होंगे या वर्ल्ड बुक में हम renowned नहीं होते. We are actually the name is published, right? Your name is registered for World Book Record. Okay. Now tell me, what kind of books are preferred by children?
Most of children's like mystery books, and they are also like space adventures book to read from their parents. So they prefer most of the mystery and the space adventures books.
Okay, you can mute. Rashi, you were not there in meeting at the beginning?
I was there, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Okay, then Prachi, you can speak on the topic. Jasmine, you may leave, dear. No issue.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Good night, actually, bache. Take care.
Good night, ma'am. Thank you.
Can
I
Prachi
start
start
now?
कीजिए? Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very passionate of reading books. I like to read all types of books
Well, today I would like to talk about a book that has a major influence in my life, and it also changed my mindset in a positive direction. The book name is The Secret. It is written by Rhonda Byrne. He's a very famous writer. This book motivates me a lot. Actually, my best friend told me about this book few months ago. At the time, I was very disappointed and depressed from my life. So my friend gave me this book. She bought it a few years ago when she was going through the same disappointment in her life. I started reading this book, and with the passage of time, I built a great interest in reading the book. This book actually doesn't contain any particular story, but it tells the person the truth of life. Each and every line in this book matched my situation very well, so it helped me to stay positive in my life. Actually, this book was
All right,
based.
Prachi, that's enough. Good one. Very nice. ये
Okay.
6+ है. Let's see follow up कैसे करते हो आप. The first question is, are you fond of reading books? Like, do you really
Uh,
enjoy reading books?
yes, ma'am, I'm very fond of reading books. I like motivational books a lot as it helps me to stay positive in my life and handle every situation very nicely.
Okay. Uh, why some people dislike, or we can say that why children specifically nowadays are not interested in reading books?
Due to the increase in the technology, children have general lack interest in reading books as they like to spend time on their mobile phones or laptops, playing games, talking with friends. So the interest of reading books has decreased over a period of time.
And how we can just create an interest among children towards book reading, how that habit can be taught or inculcated according to you?
The habit of book reading can be inculcated in small children when parents take out their time, and they read the book for their children and make them interested in reading that book. By this way, the bond between the parent and the children would increase, and also their reading habit would increase.
All right, good. You can complete the remaining tasks. That was
Yes,
fine
ma'am.
for you.
Ma'am, what is the band score in speaking?
It is 6 and 6.5 in between. Good. Just keep it up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Kirandeep Kaur, your turn. You may leave, Prachi. Good night, bacha. Anji Prachi, I'm sorry. Kirandeep, start कीजिए.
Describe, I would talk about book major
ये पहले क्यों
influence.
बोलते हो? क्वेश्चन क्यों बताते हो मुझे? डिस्क्राइब आई वुड टॉक अबाउट, क्या मतलब होता है इसका?
जी ये वाला दसन लगी.
तो वो तो मुझे पता है ना टॉपिक. आप सीधे बोलो आई वुड लाइक टू टॉक अबाउट.
I would talk about book major influence. Again, the writer is Keki Daniel.
ये क्या
The
मतलब है?
story.
इसका क्या मतलब है? मुझे एक सेंटेंस का मतलब बताओ. एक भी ग्रामेटिकली कुछ भी सही नहीं है इसमें. ना सब्जेक्ट है ना वर्ब है. बस अभी जैसे गाना गाते हैं वैसे गा रहे हो.
Nanji, the writer is Keki Daniel.
इसका मतलब क्या है?
Writer का नाम है जी.
तो कैसे बोलेंगे? द नेम ऑफ द राइटर इज, ऐसे बोलेंगे ना. आप क्या बोल रहे हो?
The name of the writer is Keki Daniel, and the story name is on friendship. A friend is a good gift to us. He support us at all time. He show sympathy whenever we need it.
ही
He
शोज
is
सिंपैथी. सिंपैथी जैसा कुछ होता है. सिंपैथी.
whenever we need it. A friend is agree or disagree with us any point. A friend is whenever we
इट्स
need
फाइन.
it. A friend.
क्या नाम है आपका? किरणदीप. कोई फायदा नहीं है. लिख के आप पढ़ रहे हो. मुझे जरा भी नहीं लग रहा कि आप स्पीकिंग दे रहे हो.
नान जी लिखिए है जी.
बस
हाँ
वही
जी
लिख के
लिखिए.
पढ़ रहे हो. इसका क्या ही मतलब है? हमारा रीडिंग टेस्ट थोड़ी है, स्पीकिंग का टेस्ट है. आप कितने मतलब
नहीं
इट्स ऑलमोस्ट 1 मंथ हो गया एंड आप कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हो. लाइक लिटरली
नहीं जी मेन पॉइंट लिखे हुए सर.
मेन पॉइंट नहीं है. आपने पूरा पैराग्राफ लिख रखा है और आप उसे बस पढ़ रहे हो. आप यू
नहीं
आर
जी
नॉट इवन स्पीकिंग. स्पीकिंग में
नहीं जी
आपके
12वीं ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਸੀ ਜੀ 12वीं
बस
ਵਿੱਚ
हर चीज आप कहते हो मेरे स्कूल में था, मेरे सर ने बताया था।
नहीं जी देख लियो जी
आप
भाਵੇਂ
पढ़ रहे
12वीं
हो,
में देख
मुझे सीधे पता चल रहा है यू आर रीडिंग, यू आर नॉट स्पीकिंग। बंद करो जो भी आपने रखा है और अब बोल के देखो। मैं टॉपिक ही चेंज कर देती हूँ। डिस्क्राइब अ बुक की जगह मैं आपको दे रही हूँ स्पीक अबाउट अ हिल स्टेशन दैट यू हैव विजिटेड रिसेंटली। कोई भी टूरिस्ट प्लेस बताओ मुझे, बुक नहीं सुनना मुझे। चलो बोलो।
The tourist place is Chandigarh. Na, describe. I would talk about
फिर से डिस्क्राइब।
I would talk about visit in Chandigarh. The Chandigarh
विजिट इन चंडीगढ़ का मतलब क्या होता है? आई वुड लाइक टू डिस्क्राइब विजिट इन चंडीगढ़, इसका मतलब क्या है?
जी visit hill in Chandigarh.
अच्छा, आगे।
The Chandigarh is a very beautiful place and it is situated on the Punjab. Okay, the Chandigarh is very big shop and the other
चंडीगढ़
facilities
शॉप है?
ना जी चंडीगढ़ च जी स्टोर शॉप
आपने तो बोला चंडीगढ़ इज अ बिग शॉप।
बिग स्टोर शॉप एंड
चंडीगढ़ शॉप है कि चंडीगढ़ में शॉप है?
चंडीगढ़ में स्टोर।
किरणदीप कोई फायदा नहीं है, प्लीज अपना ग्रामर ठीक करो, अदरवाइज कुछ भी सेंसिबल नहीं होगा। राइटिंग खराब रहेगी, स्पीकिंग खराब रहेगी, कोई स्कोर नहीं आएगा। क्या फायदा? आप ग्रामर पढ़ ही नहीं रहे हो। आपको बोला रीडिंग करने के लिए, आप वो भी नहीं करते हो। आप हर सेंटेंस पंजाबी में बोलते हो। आई विजिट पंजाब एंड आई डू। इससे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? इट्स नॉट लाइक इंग्लिश, किसी को समझ नहीं आना है, सेंटेंस भी गलत है और आपकी प्रोनाउंसिएशन टिपिकल पंजाब में बोलते हो, पंजाबी में बोलते हो, जो कि आपको इंग्लिश में बोलना चाहिए। हम कभी बुक बोलते हैं, बुक होता है। डिस्क्राइब, क्यों हर बात को लास्ट में स्ट्रेस करना? डिस्क्राइब है, डिस्क्राइब तो नहीं है, बुक नहीं है, दैट हैड, मेजर, ऐसा तो कुछ भी नहीं है। क्यों आप अपनी तरफ से ऐड करते हो? रोज एक एक पेज पढ़ा करो, न्यूज़पेपर उठा के, कोई भी बुक पढ़ा के अपनी जो प्रोनाउंसिएशन है ना, इसको साफ करो, इंग्लिश में बोलो। ये इंग्लिश साउंड होना चाहिए। आई फील लाइक आप पंजाबी में इंग्लिश बोल रहे हो। इट शुड बी इन इंग्लिश। और ग्रामर करो, आप ग्रामर बिल्कुल नहीं कर रहे हो। आपके डैड का फोन आया था एंड आई जस्ट थॉट कि चलो ठीक है, इम्प्रूव कर जाएगी, बट आप अभी तक ग्रामर नहीं कर रहे हो। कुछ भी नहीं किया आपने ग्रामर का। ना तो आपके टेंसेस सही लगते हैं, ना आपको सब्जेक्ट का पता चलता है, आप बस कैसे भी बोल देते हो। ठीक है, तो प्लीज ग्रामर सही करो। आप अपना बुक निकालो, पढ़ो। आप पढ़ ही नहीं रहे हो। ठीक है, सो प्लीज स्टडी ग्रामर, तभी सब कुछ ठीक होगा। ठीक है, और रोज पढ़ा करो, ऊंची ऊंची आवाज में चीजें पढ़ो। आपका जो बोलने का तरीका है ना, वो बदलेगा।
ठीक है।
आपने देखा है किसी को इस तरह से इंग्लिश बोलते हुए जैसे आप बोलते हो? क्लास में इतने बच्चे हैं, कोई ऐसे बोलता है? बोलता है कोई?
ना जी।
अभी भी नांजे, ये भी पंजाबी है। सो ट्राई टू
नो
इम्प्रूव, ट्राई टू इम्प्रूव किरणदीप, अदरवाइज कोई फायदा नहीं। बाहर नहीं जाना, कनाडा जाना है ना?
यस मैम।
तो प्लीज करो, अंग्रेज बन जाओ बिल्कुल, ऐसे नहीं चलेगा। ठीक है, कल अच्छे से बोलना और ये क्यू कार्ड मुझे रिकॉर्ड करके भेजो इंग्लिश में, पंजाबी में कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए मुझे। दैट शुड बी क्लियर प्रोनाउंसिएशन। माय टॉपिक इज, या आई वुड लाइक टू स्पीक अबाउट, ये नहीं होगा आई वुड लाइक टू स्पीक अबाउट, ये नहीं चाहिए मुझे। जहां फुल स्टॉप है वहीं पे पॉज चाहिए। ठीक है, तो ये मुझे सेंड करो अभी, आधे घंटे में मैं वेट कर रही हूँ। पर्सनली करो, ग्रुप में मत करो, मेरे को पर्सनली करो, बट जस्ट डू दैट। ठीक है,
ठीक।
चलो गुड नाइट।